Hey, I'm Christopher Glennon over at Kearney Mesa Dodge Jeep and Ram, and this is the brand new 2024 Dodge Hornet RT. It is an electric plug-in hybrid, so you do have the benefits of both gas and electric. Come get yours today.
The Merchant Card Group. If your business needs payment processing services, hit me up and I'll give you a referral code. With my referral code, send them your statement, and if they can't beat your current cost, they will give you $250. That's how confident they are that they can beat your cost. You can reach me at CA Glennon on Instagram or at 619-249-9328. I'm C1.
And I'm C2.
And this is The Christopher Show. We have no special guest today, but we are going to talk about a couple things that have been happening over the last couple of weeks. The Trump assassination and the Kamala Harris sliding her into the Democrat position for the nominee for president.
Yep. As
they're running into the DNC.
Please, yeah.
So Biden has ran this whole time, and all the way up until last week, the man has been adamant. I am your Democratic nominee for president.
I will not step down. I will not resign. It is my pleasure to serve the American people, and it would be the last thing I would ever do would be to resign.
Well, and then there was a rumor that he wouldn't endorse Kamala Harris, and then all of a sudden he goes radio silent.
For 5 days.
You don't hear from him. I think it's 6 days. It's 5 or 6. But anyway,
he gets COVID. He goes
supposedly. Yeah, he gets COVID. There was.
I know you know a little bit more about it. Start from that point though, where he had COVID. They declared it a medical emergency. They were going to take him to Johns Hopkins, I think you said.
No, I think he was in Las Vegas, so I think they're going to take him to the UNLV hospital in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
But they wound up getting a helicopter. And listen, here's the thing: he is older, so if he gets COVID, there is a real risk for him.
Of course, yeah.
So I want to say that it's very likely that he could have had COVID and went radio silent because of that, and that he's already been seen feeble enough that they didn't want to feed into that anymore.
Yeah.
And which is also why he could have looked different on his. You were talking about he looked different on the Oval
in the Oval
from
Office.
the Oval Office. Yeah. So I almost said oral office because of Clinton, and I'm like, I know that's not oral office. Anyway, I'm like, it's oval. I know it's oval, but anyway. So anyway, for those of you that don't know the Monica Lewinsky story, Google it.
Yep, look it up.
But anyway, so from the Oval Office, we talked about how you could see the transcript in the background and things like that. So with his announcement from the Oval Office, even when he finally did that, it's like it took 6 days. There's some, I have this conspiracy theory that's mine, where I think, you try to take Trump out 1 week, and then a few days later, Biden gets COVID, which is something you could introduce him to if you know somebody else that has COVID. It's a biological weapon. And Biden's not stepping down. Biden's adamant that he's going to continue. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he goes, hey, I'm going to step down. Well, I want to finish the conspiracy theory. Hold on.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, he goes, hey, I'm going to step down out of nowhere. So I know that he was getting pressure from a lot of people. But what if all of a sudden, and we talk about shadow governments and deep state and stuff like that.
Yep.
What if they started putting pressure on him and threatening his family? Hunter's got the laptop case against him, and Hunter's already going to jail. If I were Joe Biden, I'd be honest. I wouldn't blame Joe Biden for pardoning his son if he decides to do that before he leaves office. You're 81.
Go for it.
And I would not want to know that my son was going to spend 40 years in prison for some stuff that all because I ran for president, all because I was president. And listen, I know that what Biden did with China and all that other stuff is wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I would hate to be put in that position. But I could see if he winds up pardoning his son, I understand. So back to the conspiracy theory, though. It intrigues me that they try to take Trump out on one weekend, and then the next weekend, Biden is not heard from for 6 days. I'm like, wow, did they literally just try to take out both presidential candidates if there's a shadow government or a secret, a deep state kind of government?
That's how they would do it.
Yeah, you would go after both of them. And since Trump wasn't killed, they were like, well, hell, now we got to take out the other one so that we can put in who we want, because now Biden is so far behind that we can't win. So with Biden being as strong as he was about running and all of that, and then all of a sudden conceding, and then all of a sudden endorsing Kamala, and all of a sudden the letter comes out, and you mentioned this, the signature on the letter did not match his normal signature.
Nope. So he was either A, under some kind of duress, or B, it was forged.
Yeah.
It
could have been him being sick also.
Real quick, to roll it back, though, what you were saying about Biden getting sick kind of thing, I think it was either CNN or MSNBC, but they were basically putting it out, and they had literally said, isn't Trump getting shot in the ear and raising his fist up in the air afterwards the same thing as Biden getting COVID.
Biden fighting COVID
and
off,
coming back from it afterwards.
They were trying, and that got me, man. To see,
Like,
I think it was
how are
Joy
you gonna
Reid
try
that did it.
Yes, that's who it was.
That was
Joy
trying
Reid.
to compare COVID, recovering from a disease, the same as getting shot in the ear, dude.
Having an assassination attempt not on your life.
Yeah.
She kept phrasing it as getting shot in the ear. It was an assassination attempt.
And they've tried to diminish what it was, and they continue to try to do that. They're trying to act as though it didn't happen on some level. And so that's a very dangerous thing to say. They've also already rolled back to saying things like he's a threat to democracy, a danger to democracy.
So fast.
And I'm like, wow, you guys didn't skip a freaking beat. And we all knew that would happen. It's just some of us thought they might take 2 weeks to do it. And like 3 days later, they're right back into it.
Yep.
So now let's talk about Kamala being in that position, because obviously
of course,
Joe Biden's endorsed her. Obama hasn't endorsed her yet, but he's expected to soon.
I'm sure
Nancy Pelosi rolled around behind her. Schumer has. This, to me, reeks of not being democracy, because democracy means chosen by the people. Kamala was not chosen by the people. And she was literally chosen by the elite.
Yep. And what I saw from it could be doctored, it could be whatever. What I saw from a post from BLM, though, was that they were not going to support her because she said that she was going to fight to get the American people's vote. That night, she called up all the DNC bosses, the elites and the oligarchy of the country, pretty much. She got the DNC vote because of the delegates, but never once tried to address the American citizens.
I agree 100%. And so with that, it's almost like there was a coup of Biden at this point. They're saying he's not mentally fit to run for president, but he's mentally fit to finish out his presidential term. So there is a call for the 25th Amendment, which means for his cabinet to go, hey, you need to step aside and let your vice president take over. The reason they won't do it is because Mike Johnson steps into the VP role. Mike Johnson's the House of Representatives Speaker of the House.
Oh.
So the Speaker of the House becomes the VP. And all of a sudden, because succession of power.
Exactly.
So that's exactly why they won't do it. But Mike Johnson is pushing for it to be done. He'll continue to push for it to be done. I think it's an excellent move, because then you
100%.
get to see Kamala be president and see how she fits as president. And listen, Democrats always talked, and Gerald Ford mentioned this back in like the 1980s, that if they were ever going to get a woman president, it would be to sneak her in or to slide her in, because a president who is a man winds up coming down with something or having something happen to him. And that's exactly what they did.
Assassinated, or he comes down being sick. He's no longer fit to serve presidency. They move her into the presidency.
And 40 years later, they freaking did it. So he was right. He nailed it 40 years ago
100%.
with that call. And so I feel like they're trying to push him out. Let's see. What else do I have up there? Going back to what I was going to say about Kamala, and this is the reason that's important. So now the Democrats are not the Democrat constituents. When I say the Democrats now, usually when I say the Democrats, I mean the politicians.
Yeah.
This time I mean the constituents.
The Democratic.
So they didn't pick who they were going to put forward for president this year.
Yep.
They didn't pick who they were going to put forward in 2020 because basically someone from the DNC said, hey, I want you to pull out. I want you to pull out. You had some great contenders. You had contenders like Hakeem Jeffries. You had Kamala Harris, who was still in the running. Like a lot of people that would have taken Biden out, and Biden wouldn't have stood a chance of running for president if they had continued down the route.
Yep.
And instead they said, hey, pile behind Biden. So the DNC picked for them.
Yep.
Then you go back to 2016, Hillary Clinton. Basically, they told Bernie Sanders, who was giving her a run for her money, to step down. So now you're looking for the last 3 election cycles that they haven't picked somebody. And if you go back to Barack Obama, obviously he was a president coming off of 4 years, and they considered it successful.
Back in 12.
So they put him in there. So 2012 they didn't pick.
But what
and
about
if you go back to 2008, he barely led Hillary. I look back at the statistics on this. He was barely leading Hillary in terms of delegates, but he was winning. So I think that's probably the last time the Democrats actually, the Democrat constituents got to pick who they put forth. Everything since then has been the DNC picking for them. And this is where the Republicans are different. 2016, the RNC was trying to put forward Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz, so many people. They tried to put forward 13 other people and to shut Trump down, and he came out ahead. This is why they call him a populist, because the population decided at the end of the day The general population decided who we were going to put forward.
Yep.
And Democrats
And
have
that's
been
how it
on
should
him
be.
ever since. What's that?
And that's how it should be, though.
Exactly how it should be. And I want this for the Democrats. I think the Democrats should
Yes,
have the same beautiful thing
100%.
happening. And so instead of that, so we put forward Trump in 2016. 2020 came around, and they put forward Trump kind of like a de facto kind of thing, a default kind of
Yeah,
thing.
because of him being the former
For
president.
him being the former president, they thought, and it was a pandemic and all of that, so they didn't really have anybody run against him. And then in 2024, again this time around, they tried to shut Trump down. They tried it, and they were like,
Haley.
"Oh, he's not even showing up for the debates." They were trying to like make all this up. Democrats were actually rallying behind Nikki Haley so they could undermine Trump. So not only were Republicans in the RNC trying to undermine Trump, Democrats were trying to undermine Trump, and Trump gave them the big "fuck you." So. For me, that's a beautiful thing that we continue to decide who our presidential candidate is. I hope that we continue to do that into 2028, and we should, because Trump, if he winds up winning this election, won't be running in 2028. Correct. So it will be up to the people to decide who we put forward. He's picked J.D. Vance as his VP candidate. I like JD. There are a lot of Democrats that are trying to do all their propaganda game and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. There were some Republicans that were concerned when JD Vance got picked because they're like, oh, he should have gotten Tulsi Gabbard or he should have gotten Kristi Noem. And here's the thing. If he had done that, he wouldn't have been true to who he is.
Yep.
And the reason we like him is because he's true to who he is. He wants to ensure the MAGA movement continues. JD Vance is the best one to carry that torch.
And the thing is, for JD Vance to switch sides, back in 2016, he was a never Trumper.
Yeah,
back in 2020, he was a never Trumper. And over the course of the last 4 years, he managed to flip him over to his side.
Well, and when you say flip him, I want to actually explain that a little more. He didn't flip him. He convinced him.
Yeah.
He convinced him through actions, and Democrat actions helped to convince J.D. Vance as well. They go, J.D. Vance finally was like a lot of people that were never Trump at first. They go, holy shit, they were right.
Yeah.
So he finally saw past the propaganda. He compared him to Hitler. Mainstream media is trying to use that against J.D. Vance right now. But again, Trump won him over.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't push him. He didn't force him and say, you better or else.
Yeah.
J.D. Vance came to that conclusion on his own. And J.D. Vance is a very intelligent guy. You know he went to Yale, right?
Yeah, and J.D. Vance, he could have denied the position. He could have denied the role. He could have been like, thank you, but no thank you. I'd rather not be partnered with you.
Well, and he could have continued to denounce Trump over the last 4 years.
Oh, exactly.
And instead, again, Trump won him over. So I think there's a lot of credit that should be given to Trump for winning someone that was a never Trumper over. And JD's not the only one. JD just is the personification of all of those, because there are a lot of people now that were never Trumpers that have moved over and said, hey, you know what? He was right all along, and I should have had my eyes open more.
Yeah.
So with Kamala Harris, you look at what she's got coming forward.
They're already pushing the whole racist agenda, misogynistic, the sexist.
Oh, man.
They're saying that Trump is all of this 2 weeks after the man's been shot in the ear.
Oh yeah, they were already positioning as soon as they thought that she was going to replace Biden, because they thought she was going to replace Biden even a little bit before, and so they're like, oh, there are already sexist attacks coming out because the RNC and all of that happened as well. They're like, oh, there are already sexist attacks coming out at the RNC as well, like right after Trump got shot and everything.
Yeah.
And so I saw MSNBC, CNN, you know me, I look across the whole breadth of mainstream media, whether it's Republican or Democrat.
And I get most of my news through Instagram posts and
TikTok.
And people getting to share their actual views, their opinions, rather than what the mass media is pushing forward.
Yep.
I get to see what the people are seeing and thinking.
Yep.
And that's how news has began to evolve, kind of.
Well, let's say this. Mainstream media is losing their grip
Yep.
on the population because you have X and you have TikTok and you have Truth Social, which combat the normal havens of Meta and Instagram that are more liberal. What's the other liberal? There are other, and then if you go liberal media outlets, which is MSNBC, CNN, even ABC News, NBC News, all of them I see.
Liberal influencers, you got Harry. What is it?
Oh, Harry
like
Sisson, which is more like sus.
Scissors, you know.
Susan, suspect.
Well, I get that. But
So
I'm
both of
thinking
them, yeah, I know.
scissors, you know.
So, but anyway, so you see this transition of power from mainstream media to the people, and now the people are becoming the journalists, like you saw at the assassination attempt of Trump.
Yep.
Cool fun fact for you. So Fox had labeled the Trump assassination attempt in a weird way that made it sound like Trump was trying to do an assassination attempt. So I posted it to my story and said, looks like Fox got this wrong. They might need to reword this. I looked back like 15 minutes later and they had updated the headline. It was the main headline, dude. like maybe 30 minutes later, but they updated the headline. I'm like, wow, somebody may have actually looked at what I sent.
Oh my god.
Oh, I still have the screenshots on it. It was funny, but they literally updated. I'm
We'll
like,
have to post it like right here.
there was some like personal ego that was involved. I'm like, I did that.
You're like, yeah, that was my fault.
So no, not my fault.
No.
To my credit, yeah.
I was about to say, not your fault that there was an assassination. Let's clear that up real quick.
So yeah, no. I meant the headline. So anyway, so yeah, it was kind of dope to see that happen. But again, I look across the breadth of them to see what's going on. Kamala Harris is being pushed. Obviously, the Democrat media engine's getting behind her. But the cool thing is that you have X and other media outlets now to combat and to offset that, to take the population away from the mainstream media.
Yep.
Too many people are underestimating her, though, when she has the Democratic engine behind her. I'm waiting for her to speak publicly more often.
I'm waiting
because that's where she'll slip up.
Oh, 100%. That's where she'll slip up.
Like the recording about Biden.
Oh my God! For those of you that at home that don't know, there was she was addressing the nation as the VP still, because she had not. I think Biden already dropped out, but he had not like announced it necessarily. Over.
It was his first endorsement of her.
Yes, exactly.
Supposedly endorsement over the phone.
And as she's addressing the nation, she goes, "Joe Biden, I know we still have you on the phone call. What do you think of X, Y, and Z?"
Well, I don't think she even asked him a question. I think she said it was nice having you on the phone call. Thank you, Joe.
Yep, exactly.
And so yeah.
So that a lot of people are speculating that what she was about to accidentally say, which a lot of Democrats tend to accidentally almost spill the truth because they're carrying so many lies.
Yeah.
What she was about to accidentally say, though, was that Joe Biden was on a recording, which a lot of people believe might have been the possibility because he did not answer any questions.
Oh, it hit conservative media outlets fast.
Well, the thing is, I saw other people had posted, again, I'm on social media all the time. They're saying for $20 for a day, you can go ahead and have Joe Biden say whatever you feel like.
Oh, I know, right?
And basically what they're saying, though, is that
here's the thing. The DNC and the Democrat propaganda machine has so much more sophisticated equipment.
Oh, 100%.
So.
But he didn't answer any questions, though. He only spoke in statements and sentences, never asked a question. It was always just a straight up, almost like it was a script like he usually does.
Well, and here's the other thing that technology can do, and this is where it gets really crazy with AI and everything else, is they could have made it look like an actual conversation between her by having someone on the other end type stuff and then have an AI basically create his voice, because we've done speech to text. You've seen it. All you have to do is set Joe Biden's voice to that.
Yep.
And when Joe spoke on Wednesday, I think it was, last night, maybe the night before, maybe Tuesday. Anyway, when he spoke, his voice was weak still. And so he's got something serious going on. And I want to say this again. While we're talking about Joe, I do wish him well. I wish him many years to come.
Yep.
Because I want him to be able to enjoy his grandchildren, his family, to be able to spend time with his sons, his daughter, things like that, and for them to get to enjoy him outside of politics. So I do want him to retire and to go off into the sunset and to have a long and prosperous life for the rest of his life.
Agreed. What I will say, real quick, not to get off topic about that, but is. So that what a lot of other people, again, on social media are comparing what he looked like at the debate versus Trump versus what his announcement from the Oval Office looked like. People are saying his eye color didn't look the same. His, I believe, at least when I was watching it, it looked like one eyebrow was higher than the other, one eye was higher than the other. It didn't look like Joe Biden.
He could have had a stroke.
He had a tan. All of a sudden, he was super tan. Maybe, again, that might have been a makeup issue.
That stuff, I think it's funny that he used to make fun of Trump's tan.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's the orange man.
But again, if he had COVID, he's not going to go get a spray tan.
But they might on some level to give him some kind of color so he doesn't appear so sickly. So here's my thing. There's another thing as well. People are talking about, he looked taller in pictures with Joe Biden. Women wear heels. Yep. So this is where I want to dispel some of that. Hey, Clips, what's going on, buddy?
Yo, what's up, dude?
So anyway, I want to dispel some of that because – one, he just had COVID. So if he was really sick, and he really was because he was gone for 6 days, I believe he was really sick. I don't think that it was something like he died or anything like that. I think it's really him. It's going to have effects on your body. You're going to get thinner. You're going to lose weight because you may not be able to eat as much as you were. You may not be able to keep food down. And then on top of that, it is going to affect you in some way. So it may not be a tan. It may actually be just makeup that they were putting on him to make him look healthier.
It might have been that. Again, it's all skeptical kind of thing. That's the video I saw. But that's what they were kind of beginning to kind of push forward at least as a conspiracy again.
And this is where I try to correct some of those.
Of course, I'm not saying I believe in it 100%.
Yeah.
I just noticed a couple of differences aside from just the tan and all that. To me, it looked like his left eye in the video was lower than what his right eye came up to be versus at the debate they looked equal. And again, it could be cameras, it could be angles.
That he had a stroke.
It could that.
And let me say why. My grandfather had a stroke when I was about 15, and literally half of his face like shifted. And so this side was the weak side from the stroke. It was impacted by the stroke.
Gotcha.
And so when he would try to open his eye, this eye wouldn't open as much as the other one. Like there were this lip had gone a little bit numb on the left side.
I understand that. What I'm saying, though, is it looked like his actual eyebrow and the positioning of his eye were slightly lower, which I don't think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, again,
it could be makeup
at the video. But that's what it looked like at when I was watching the video, was that his eyes looked off.
Yeah. And it could be the makeup. It could be different things making it look. I don't want to put too much credence into that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to dismiss it entirely.
Yeah.
But at the same time, some of the conspiracy theories that come out, I get them in my inbox all day long.
That one wasn't even one that I saw posted. That was just what I observed, kind of. Okay, maybe, but that's what I observed, seeing the two photos side by side. Because the video I watched wasn't even talking about his eyes or his eyebrows. It was talking about his chin for some reason, which I
they were saying something about the chin.
And then something about his chin and then the skin tone.
Yeah, and
for me though, that's what I saw was the eyebrow and eye rather though.
Yeah, and that's why I say if he's had a stroke or something, that could be it. If his diet was off or he wasn't eating because of COVID, that could be it. I mean, COVID does have its actual impacts, and especially when you're 81.
Of course.
And this is why they're considering the 25th Amendment. The Republicans are, and they're trying to push it. Schumer and them are trying to make sure that Biden finishes term. But it's going to be an interesting next several months. We need to watch closely.
Yep.
Running into the election, don't discount Harris as a possibility for winning.
Nope.
And the reason I say that is Hillary almost won in 2016, so it is possible. Trump's leading by 3 points right now, but it's July, almost August, September, October, November, 3 months to go, 3.5 months to go. We cannot be caught sleeping again in 2024.
No.
Here's the thing. Remember in 2020 they created all the chaos with BLM and all of that, all the racial tension. That Massey lady, I think Sonia Massey, was just shot the other day. They're trying to already maneuver and use that as a weapon, as a tool for the election. And then you have people that are going to vote for Kamala just because she's a woman or just because she's black or whatever.
And the thing is,
so we cannot dismiss that.
I get you. I agree. Real quick though, there are more people opening their eyes to what Kamala Harris did in California, and why just because she's black doesn't mean that she's for the black population.
Now, I agree with that, but is that conservative media or is that liberal media saying that as well?
No, well, no, it's
Did you see what I'm saying though?
I
Because you got to look at how
you're good. I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying that I saw it on media, like the mass media, the news kind of stuff. What I am saying is that I saw other African Americans speaking to other African Americans who were talking about voting Democratic for Kamala because she's black. The reason he said not to vote for her is because of the mass incarcerations, what she did as a lawyer or not the lawyer but the
prosecutor, the prosecuting attorney. There we go.
The prosecuting attorney. And how
she hid evidence that would have freed people.
Exactly, and how she held people in jail for light crimes about having marijuana on them and all this other stuff.
So I agree with that. Now let me say this: you have that side doing that. Here's the thing with the entire population. Okay, it is a pulling back and forth of trying to get the middle to sway both ways, to sway one way or the other. So the Republicans that are Trump are absolutely going to stay Trump. The Democrats that are
Kamala,
that were Biden and now Kamala, they're going to stay Kamala. What you're trying to get are those people in the middle that consider themselves independents. I consider them a third party.
Yeah,
they're a small third party, but they are still a third party. So now we're trying to divide that up because usually the population is pretty evenly divided between Republican and Democrat. And that's why they try for the small percentage in the middle to sway them one way or the other.
And that's what this guy was talking about in his video. He was literally saying, I'm not trying to convince you to change your mind. What I am telling you to do is do your research, look into what she stands for, not who she is.
Yeah. Well, DYOR, always do your own research, whether it's investing or whether it's voting. And so to your point, now I want to say that it's usually, I think right now it's like Trump leads 48 to 45%. That's 93%. That leaves 7% in the middle that they're trying to sway. And some of those in that 7% have already decided they're going to vote left. Some have decided they're already going to vote right. And then there's probably about half of them that are still trying to decide, am I voting left or right? And so you're fighting for that 1 to 2 percentage points to sway. And if they if you add those percentages, all of a sudden you wind up with 4% that is going to decide the election.
Exactly.
So that's what they're trying to do over these next 4 months, is to help those 4% decide to go for them. Trump needs to, I'm going to say this, I'm going to be candid about this because this bothers me. Trump needs to stop doing things. He's already calling Kamala lying Kamala Harris. I'm like, that's not going to garner you more votes, dude. Stop calling people names at this point and just call her Kamala Harris. Call her the VP. Be respectful. At this point, if you really want to unify, and this is what I really want, I want to talk about this for a moment. If you really want to unify the nation, stop doing shit like that. Because Joe Biden, every time he says MAGA Republicans, it gaslights me. It doesn't trigger me. I don't get mad about it. But I go, dude, well, actually what it does is it gives me an observation. I don't care. I'm at peace. But what it does do is I go, you literally are talking about unifying the country when 45% of the country is MAGA Republicans. 45 to 48%. So when you do that, you're literally disenfranchising 45 to 48% that go, he's not for all of us. So Joe Biden has done that for the last 4 years. He wants to call himself a unifying president. Absolutely not. He needs to own up to that. And in the same way, Trump needs to own up to shit and stop doing things like lying Kamala Harris. I wish he were better about that. I know Trump is going to be Trump. I don't listen to what he says. I look at his policies, just like Democrats don't listen to what Biden says. They look at his policies. Most people are judging by policies, whether it's abortion, whether it's the illegal immigration at the border or things like that. So you have some major issues for this election cycle that people are trying to make their determination on. Do I want an open border? Do I want abortion? The false narrative that Democrats keep pushing is that women's rights have been restricted sorely. No, what happened is the Constitution sent that back to the states where it should be and let the states decide. And most states where the culture likes abortion, abortion is still legal. And in the states where the culture doesn't necessarily like abortion, they've put some restrictions on that. And for me, I go, we have 50 different states, 50 different cultures. Let the local state decide, because you don't want to go into Bible. Well, let's talk about Bible country.
Well, I was going to say San Diego isn't the same as LA, as the same as, Nantucket, as the same as...
Well, actually, those are all Democrat areas pretty much.
My bad.
So that's what I'm trying to say. So you have California and New York. And we can break it down into cities if you want as well as we go along, because usually things like Atlanta in the middle of a very conservative state, Birmingham in the middle of a conservative state. So Alabama's culture is different than California's culture. Alabama is in part of the Bible Belt. Tennessee's in the Bible Belt. South Carolina, Georgia, Texas. Arkansas, Texas, they're all part of the Bible Belt because they're religious and they're Christian. And this is where I get tired of Christians being vilified and demonized because of their beliefs. I go, hey, if you don't want their beliefs imposed on you, then stop imposing your beliefs on them and understand that there are 50 different cultures in this United States.
Agreed.
So with that, let's wrap this up. We've gone through Kamala. We've gone through the assassination on Trump and several topics. But thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
I'm C1.
And I'm C2.
And this is
The Christopher Show.
Thank you for watching.
Deuces.